Hello, and welcome to the final episode of Fun with Flags. Oh, wait a minute, that's a different show. Just my nod to the Big Bang Theory. I'm John Cellini, and I'm going to talk about overcoming cultural ethnocentrism and stereotyping. And the reason I'm going to talk about these things is they should be very important to you in a business environment, because in today's world, there's lots of different cultures that are intertwined in any type of business. And I'm going to help try and persuade you on how you should overcome these types of behaviors and what the negative effects are, positive effects, and how you can do this. So let's get started. So like I said, today we're going to go over what is it, why you should care about it, how you can overcome it, and then I'll summarize at the end all the key points. So in my career, I've traveled extensively around the world for my job. I've been all over the world, different countries, different cultures, all over the United States. And it's very important that you understand what these two terms are and how they relate in a business environment, because it can negatively affect you or positively affect you depending on how you overcome them and how you interact with people of other cultures. So basically, what is ethnocentrism or stereotyping? They're two different terms, but they're very, very similar and they're very intertwined. So, best example I can give you is if you take a look at this picture here. First glance, he's a very handsome dude, obviously, but beyond that, it looks like a very business type person. Suit and tie, well-cut hair, well-groomed. However, if you look at this picture, what comes to mind? Oh, a biker at a bar, biker trash, gang, whatever the case may be. That's stereotyping. The two people in the pictures are one and the same, just different looks, depending on the clothing, and that's stereotyping. Ethnocentrism is very close to that, and our text defines it as using your own culture to bestow your beliefs on how another culture should act or how they behave or how they look. So if you take a look at this, they're very similar. Here's an example, and I thought it was very appropriate on how the United States looks at the world. So if you look at this, you can see the United States, we're freedom. Canada, hockey and beans. South America, jungle savages. Communists and crime over in the Russia area. The factory in China. Empty desert, kangaroos. That's a stereotype map, and that's what stereotyping is. Very closely related to ethnocentrism, and the two play together. So that's what it is. And I've traveled pretty much to every country that's listed here on this map, and my initial thought prior to going there was very similar to this. However, as you get to these areas and you meet these people, you talk to them, you find out they're really not a lot different than we are. There's some extremely intelligent people in these countries. They know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. But they also have the same view of Americans. A lot of the rest of the world thinks of us as very arrogant, very warmongery. That's not just related to our current president, but that's their view of the United States. So, why do we want to address this? As you can see, lots of different flags from different countries there, the United States in the middle. That's very key to keep in mind, that the United States is not the center of the world. I try to bestow that on the employees that work for me, that when they're dealing with other cultures and other people from other countries, that they need to get that chip off their block and look at it as these people are their equal. They know as much as they do, or maybe even more. So the world does not revolve around the United States. Another reason to do this, like I said, money. There's lots of different money. According to the 2010 U.S. Census, the export and import business for the United States is over a $2 trillion industry. That is a lot of business, a lot of money that exchanges hands with other countries. So if you can't deal or work with another country and you don't know how to communicate with them, you're never going to make it in the business world today. That's just a simple fact of business. So, how do we address this? Here's the key things to remember. I could go on and on and on. There's more ways to address these two traits than we have time for today. However, some key important things. One, look at their cultures and adopt to their culture. The United States isn't the world leader in everything, so it's very important to take on some of their cultural tendencies and treat them with respect. Two, learn about the countries prior to going over there. Don't make any assumptions about them. You should take the time to investigate their cultures, their habits, and their idiosyncrasies so that you don't offend them and you know how to interact with them. The picture here is showing a Japanese businessman exchanging business cards. I've had this experience in Japan, and that's exactly how they exchange business cards. Both hands hold the card. You hold it out in front of you. You allow the person to read it prior to releasing it. You look at it. You take time to read it. Then you exchange cards back the exact same way. You do not put it in your pocket right away. You hold on to it and give it respect because that's what they're expecting. A lot of other cultures are the same way. It's very rude in some cultures to make notes on a business card. I used to do that in my job. I would jot down a note on business cards for customers in the U.S. so I would know who they were and I could relate to them. But I found out that that is not the case doing business worldwide. It's rude, so you don't do that. And then third, you need to look at how different interactions are held, what the protocol is. As you can see, this gentleman's kissing her hand. In some countries, it's appropriate to kiss on the cheek. France is one of those countries. I've traveled with a business partner. We were over in France, and as the gentleman come up, they would kiss her on the cheeks, and she was taken aback by that at first, but after we explained to her that that's the culture, that's the custom, she didn't take it the wrong way. She understood it. There was no innuendos with it. It was simply how it was. Another custom that's hard to understand for Americans, especially guys, is in Italy. It's very common for men to walk holding hands, especially younger men with their older relatives. They'll walk holding hands. It's a sign of respect, a sign of affection, with no sexual innuendos there. So, in summary, what can you do to overcome these two traits? You need to learn about the cultures. You need to take the time and not stereotype or use ethnocentrism in your business. Why? It affects your business. It's a lot of money involved. The world is getting smaller and smaller, especially with internet and technology today, so everybody's doing business internationally, as well as locally in the United States. There's lots of international people here. According to the Census Bureau in 2010, there was about 14% of the population of the United States were not U.S. citizens. So, how can you do this? Very key. Avoid making assumptions about the people you're looking at. Avoid making judgments about them. And avoid distinctions about them. Look at the people for who they are. Do not make judgments. Don't jump to conclusions. And be open to other ideas. My works cited are listed here. If you have any questions,